The District, Season 1, Chapter 1, First Day. Business English Podcast Series by the Silent Workspace. Isabel Reyes has just landed her dream job in New York City. Her first day at Spenstone Group brings new faces, a few surprises, and one strange look she can't quite explain. What does it really mean to settle in somewhere new? Why do native speakers often say get the hang of it instead of learn it? Isabel Reyes stepped out of the elevator on the 42nd floor of Halcyon Tower and took a breath. The view through the glass doors stretched across Midtown Manhattan, gray and gold in the early morning light. She had imagined this moment for months. Now it was real. You must be Isabel. A woman in her 50s approached, warm eyed, dressed sharply but comfortably. I'm Patricia Mendez, Senior Director. Welcome to Spenstone Group. Thank you, Isabel said. I'm really happy to be here. You'll settle in fast, don't worry, Patricia said, smiling. Everyone feels lost on day one. By Friday, you'll know this floor better than your own apartment. Patricia walked her through the open plan office, past rows of desks and quiet conversations. This is James, she said, stopping at a desk near the window. He'll be sitting right next to you. If you ever need to know who's who around here, James is your man. James Okafor stood up and shook Isabel's hand. He had an easy smile and the kind of energy that made strangers feel comfortable immediately. Don't let the Patricia scare you, James said. It's not that complicated once you get the hang of it. Numbers in, numbers out. The hardest part is figuring out whose coffee order not to mess up. Isabel laughed. I'll take notes. Smart move, James said. Mine's black, no sugar, in case you're wondering. Patricia gave him a look. Don't train her badly on day one, James. Wouldn't dream of it, James said, grinning. They continued past a row of glass walled offices. Through one of them, Isabel noticed a woman standing perfectly still, reading something on her phone, her expression unreadable. That's Margaret Collins, Patricia said, lowering her voice slightly. Our CFO. She's been here longer than almost anyone. Brilliant. A little intense, but brilliant. As if she had heard them, Margaret looked up. Her eyes moved past Patricia, past James, and landed directly on Isabel. For a moment, she didn't look away. Then her gaze dropped, just briefly, to a folder sitting on the empty desk that would soon be Isabel's. A folder Isabel hadn't even opened yet. Margaret's expression didn't change. She simply turned, picked up her phone, and walked toward her office, closing the door quietly behind her. She doesn't talk much to new people, Patricia said, almost as an explanation. Don't take it personally. Isabel nodded slowly, though something about that look stayed with her. She just couldn't say what. Later that afternoon, after the tour of the building, Isabel found herself at the Halcyon Grille on the ground floor, sitting across from Linh Nguyen, a marketing strategist from Cloudosphere Media who had been seated at the same table by pure chance. First day? Lynn asked, glancing at Isabel's visitor badge. Is it that obvious? Only when you're holding your coffee like it might explode, Lynn said, laughing. I'm Lynn. I work upstairs. Sort of. Different buildings, same complex. Isabel. Spenstone? Yeah, financial analyst junior. Very junior. Welcome to the circus, Lynn said warmly. Honestly, everyone here is figuring it out as they go. You'll get used to it faster than you think. Isabel smiled, already feeling lighter than she had all morning. Can I ask you something? Isabel said. Do you know Margaret Collins, the CFO? Lynn raised an eyebrow. Everyone knows Margaret. Why? No reason, Isabel said. She just looked at me strangely earlier, like she already knew something about me. Lynn shrugged. That's just Margaret. 30 years in finance will do that to a person's face. She took a sip of her coffee. Don't read too much into it. Isabel nodded, telling herself the same thing. But as she walked back toward the elevators that evening, she passed by her new desk one more time and noticed the folder Margaret had glanced at earlier was no longer there. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the district. I'm Teacher Sai, and I'll be your narrator and your host throughout this entire season. If this is your first time joining us in this part of the episode, we go back through the story together, chunk by chunk, and unpack the language inside it, the expressions, the phrasal verbs, the grammar, and the pronunciation. So let's get right into it. Let's go back to the very beginning. Patricia said, You'll settle in fast, don't worry. That phrasal verb, to settle in, means to become comfortable in a new place, a new job, a new routine. It's not about furniture, even though settle sounds like it could be about that. If you settle into a new job, it means you start to feel comfortable and confident there. You could say, It took me a few weeks to settle into my new apartment, or How are you settling into your new role? Notice the structure. Settle into something with the preposition into. Now, here's a grammar point worth noticing in the same sentence. You'll settle in fast. Don't worry. This is the future simple. You will, contracted to you'll. Used here to make a confident prediction about the future. Patricia isn't guessing. She is reassuring Isabel with certainty. That's a very natural use of will in spoken English, not just for facts about the future, but for reassurance and confidence. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll get used to it. Very common in everyday conversation. Let's move to James now. He said, It's not that complicated once you get the hang of it. To get the hang of something is a lovely idiom, and it means to learn how to do something until it feels natural and easy. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At first, it's difficult. Then suddenly, you get the hang of it. James is telling Isabel that the job seems hard now, but it will eventually feel natural. You'll hear this idiom constantly in workplace English. Once you get the hang of this software, it's actually really simple. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it soon. Now let's talk pronunciation, because there's something interesting happening in that exact sentence. Listen again. Once you get the hang of it, in fast natural speech, get the often blends together. Native speakers don't pronounce every sound clearly and separately. It sounds more like get the with a very soft fast the. And of it often blends with or something into like of it. Quick, light, almost swallowed. This is completely normal in spoken English. Learners often try to pronounce every single word perfectly and separately, but natural English flows together, especially with small grammar words like the, of, it, you. The meaning is still completely clear. Your ear just needs to get used to it sounding faster and smoother than it looks on paper. Moving on to Lynn now, near the end of the chapter, she said, "Don't read too much into it. This idiom, to read too much into something, means to interpret something as more meaningful or significant than it actually is." Lynn is telling Isabel not to overanalyze Margaret's strange look. You might use this idiom when a friend is overthinking a short text message from someone, or overanalyzing a comment from their boss. He probably didn't mean anything by it. Don't read too much into it. One more grammar note before we wrap up the lesson. Notice how often this chapter uses present continuous for describing what's happening right now in the scene. She is reading something on her phone. Everyone is figuring it out as they go. This tense helps stories feel immediate, like we're watching the action live rather than hearing about it afterward. It's one of the reasons stories told in present continuous or simple past with vivid action verbs feel more alive to a listener. So that's our lesson for chapter 1. We covered the phrasal verb settle in, the idiom get the hang of it, natural pronunciation blending in fast speech, the idiom read too much into it, and a quick grammar note on tense and confident predictions with will. So, Isabel's first day is over. New colleagues, new coffee orders to remember, and one strange lingering look from Margaret Collins that nobody seems able to explain. Was it nothing? Or was it something? And what happened to that folder? In our next chapter, Isabel digs into her very first real assignment and notices something about the numbers that doesn't quite add up. Make sure you don't miss it. I'll see you there.